Hi boys and girls. Today we're going to start reading a new book. It's called Who's Stealing the 12 Days of Christmas? And it's by Martha Friedman, and I'm so excited to share this book with you because it's absolutely one of my most favorite Christmas books in the whole world. And it's a mystery. It goes right with what we're doing. So here we go. First of all, before I start real quick, I'm going to remind you of all the words of this song, the 12 Days of Christmas. On the first day of Christmas, my true love gave to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 2 turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. On the third day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. And on it goes. And so by the time we get to, on the 12th day of Christmas, my true love gave to me 12 lords a-leaping, 11 ladies dancing, 10 pipers piping, 9 drummers drumming, 8 maids a-milking, 7 swans a-swimming, 6 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings, 4 calling birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, and a partridge in a pear tree. Now, the words to this song are going to be very important. And it opens, and it's very interesting, it opens with a map. Now this book doesn't have a lot of pictures, so you're really going to have to use your imaginations. But on this map, it's a place called Chickadee Court. And it looks like it has the names of all the families and then decorations from this song. We'll find out. Here we go. Chapter 1. A goose was the first to go. My cat was the first to notice. It was Friday morning before winter vacation. I was looking out my window to see if maybe it had snowed overnight. One good thing about Pennsylvania winters, sometimes you get lucky and you get a snow day. No school. But I didn't see a single flake. Only blue sky and the Christmas displays in the Lees' yard next door. The Lees are 6 geese a-laying. On the other side are the Pops, 8 maids a-milking. My family is 7 swans swimming. This might not necessarily make sense, so I will explain. Every December, the people on our street decorate their yards from the carol, the 12 Days of Christmas. At one end, there's the Ryans, partridge in a pear tree. At the other are the Jensens, 12 lords a-leaping. Really, the partridge is a big rubber ducky painted gold. Glued over the flat ducky beak is a pointy construction paper beak. The pear tree is a dogwood tree. Then there's the lords. They are flat and jigsawed out of plywood. That means they're cut out of wood. The 5 golden rings are hula hoops. That's reality. But starting that same Friday night, reality wouldn't matter. That night, almost everybody in the neighborhood would get together at the Jensen's house. Then Professor Jensen would throw a switch to turn on lights and music. Suddenly the plywood, the paint, the hula hoops would all become Christmas. We live in College Springs. It's pretty small, so the 12-day display is a big deal. It's up through New Year's, and practically everyone comes to see it. It's such a tradition that when somebody sells one of the 12-day houses, the decorations go with it. It doesn't even matter if the new people celebrate Christmas. So wow, so this neighborhood is so invested into doing this every year that even if someone moves, when they take all their stuff, they leave the decorations because the new family that moves in still has to do that day. Sounds like a cool thing to go see. Since there was no snow that morning, I went ahead and pulled on a t-shirt and sweater. Then I saw the t-shirt stripes were in the back and the tag in the front, so I had to start over. I was twisting the sweater over my head for the second time when Luau jumped onto my windowsill. Luau is my cat. The windowsill is where I keep my super macho military mice. Luau swiped his paw to knock down the mice. Then he swished his tail and blurted out a morning meow. I thought he meant, "Greetings, Alex. I don't believe you've petted me today." But when I petted him, he didn't purr. Instead, he butted his pink nose against the cold window, and he swished his tail some more. What was he looking at? Luau has checked out all the Christmas displays. His favorites are ours and the Lees because they have big, fat birds. Sometimes, Luau curls up in a sunny spot by the window and watches them. I know what he is thinking when he is watching. Go on, you tasty birds, move. And the second you do, yah! Thanksgiving. But why was Luau meowing and swishing at the windowsill? I looked outside again. This time I saw. No kidding, said Dad when I told him. The leaves are short a goose? I nodded, and it wrecks the whole song, too. I sang, 7 swans a-swimming, 5 geese a-laying, 5 golden rings. Dad cringed. I guess maybe the grown-ups are tired of that song. Point taken, Alex, he said. But who would want a hollow plastic goose? Are you sure it didn't waddle off somewhere? Maybe it's got a nest. Or maybe it flew away, I said, same as that lord. Last year, a blizzard blew the third lord from the left right out of the Jensen's yard. The next day, Michael Jensen, who is in the 7th grade and the king of the street, snooped around and found him. He had crashed head first into some lady's rose bushes. Dad shook his head. That goose is too fat to fly. I'll call the leaves when I get the dishwasher emptied. And I'd better do a beat count of our swans. Maybe this is the start of a Christmas crime wave. Dad was making a joke. He and I know all about crime in College Springs. My mom's a police detective. Actually, she's the police detective. There has never been enough crime for the police to hire another one. But the way it turned out, Dad's comment wasn't a joke. It was a prediction. A prediction means like a true guess about what's going to come. So maybe it is the start of a crime spree. Chapter 2. Every day, Yasmin comes by at 7:45 to pick me up for school. When the doorbell rang, I was zipping my coat and tugging my mittens. Doing both at the same time was a mistake. One of the mittens got stuck in the zipper. I had to look down to unstick it, and my hat fell over my eyes. Blind, I tried to open the door for Yasmin, but what I grabbed wasn't the doorknob. It was an umbrella handle. I yanked, the umbrella came out of the stand. I fell backwards onto my tailbone. Yasmin opened the door, pushed the door open, and found me on the floor, aiming my umbrella at her. Don't shoot, she said. I'm on your side. Good morning, Yazzie, my dad called from the kitchen. Good morning, Mr. Parakeet, Yasmin answered. Then she looked down at me. You're in quite a predicament there, bud. I scowled, stood up, put my umbrella back, removed my mitten from the zipper, put my coat on. I tried to look cool. I tried to look like someone who's been dressing by himself for years and years now. Meanwhile, Yasmin sighed and looked at her watch. And sighed again. Okay, ready, I said finally. Backpack, she said. Oh, right, I looked around. What had I done with it? Closet, she said. Oh, right, I opened the closet door. My backpack was on the floor. Yasmin shook her head. Late as usual, she said. We'll have to run for it. And before she could even finish her sentence, she had sprinted down the walk. Bye, Dad. I slammed the door and ran after her. Catching her was hopeless. Yasmin is the same age as me, but she's tall, skinny, and fast. Luckily, I knew she would stop and wait at the corner. It's the same every morning, except I don't necessarily fall on my tailbone every morning. Yasmin's last name is Pop. Her family is 8 maids of milking next door. She has a little brother, Jeremiah. Even though she gets stuck babysitting him a lot, she says it's good she has him because only children like me are egotistical. That means they think a lot about themselves. I should get mad when she says this kind of stuff, but usually I'm too busy trying to translate. She has this giant vocabulary, which is not her fault. Her father is an English professor at the college. Her mother is a librarian. They are nice, but very strict. Like Yasmin and Jeremiah have to be in bed by 8:30, even on weekends. And they have to make their beds before they go to school. Yasmin can be a royal pain. Like she thinks she is saving my life when she comes by to pick me up. She claims if she doesn't, I will get lost and end up dying in the desert of dehydration, which means thirst. One time I pointed out that there are no deserts in the middle of Pennsylvania. Out beyond Walmart are only soybean fields and cornfields and cows. Beyond that is just woods. Of course, then Yasmin has to go and remind me about the time she was sick and stayed home. Walking by myself, I didn't pay attention and I turned the wrong way at the light. I walked a long way before I started wondering if the school had moved and nobody told me. Finally, Officer Kreikel spotted me and took me to the school in the patrol car, which was just the tiniest amount embarrassing. I missed the flag salute and the lunch count, But I never got lost in any desert, I told Yasmin. Did you have a canteen with you? Yasmin asked. A compass, matches, a flare to signal low-flying rescue planes? No, but you would have died of dehydration, she said, desert or not. Even though she is like this, Yasmin is my best friend who happens to be a girl. What is good about her is that she is brave and smart and strong. Also, like I said, fast. And even though she teases me and bosses me, she likes me too. Assuming you turn the right way, it is only 4 blocks to College Springs School. Our street, Chickadee Court, is a dead end. That's the first block. So first we pass the 12-day houses, then at the corner of the 13th house. It's the oldest house on the block and smaller than any of the others. It's where Bub lives. Maybe in your town it's different, but in College Springs, kids don't have to work on the last day before winter vacation. We had our Friday spelling quiz, same as usual. We went out to recess and threw snowballs. We had lunch. We got in our math groups. I finished a multiplication worksheet and was coloring the puzzle when Russell leaned over. Russell loves to blab. That means talk. He is always getting in trouble. Are you coming to my party? He whispered. I told you already I am, I said. It's going to be great, he said. Mice everywhere. Millions of mice. Too bad we can't take them home, I said. Russell's birthday party was Sunday afternoon at a toy store downtown, Mega Menagerie. It was a mouse party, of course. That's what everybody wants this year. I get to have 10 kids and peppermint ice cream cake, Russell said. You told me already, I said. And Mom even let Graham ask somebody. My little brother is so spoiled. I was never that spoiled when I was 5. I looked over at Mrs. Contis to see what she was doing. Miss Contis looked up at the same time and smiled. Shh, I whispered at Russell, and I nodded toward Miss Contis. But Russell didn't shh. Graham asked Billy Jensen, he said. Of course, the two of them get along. Billy Jensen is spoiled too. Russell, I whispered. What? Your party will be great, so be quiet, okay? Russell finally got the message. I went back to coloring. The door to the classroom opened and 3 moms walked in, all carrying trays of food. It was time for the class party. Yes! My mom was one of the 3, the only one wearing a black police uniform. It has cool stuff like handcuffs hanging from the belt. When they saw her, the other kids in my class nudged each other, and Russell pointed at her gun. This always happens. Sometimes it makes me proud, and sometimes it makes me embarrassed. Hi, honey. Mom came over and knelt down next to my desk. I'm really sorry, she said quietly, but I can't stay for the whole party. Something's happened, and I have to go back to work. Russell overheard. His eyes got big. Something bad? Like a murder, he asked. Not quite that bad, Mom said. But she didn't smile or say no big deal. This was pretty unusual. Most of Mom's cases are missing wallets, cars, and bikes, and a lot of times they are lost, not stolen. Mom says it's a good thing people in College Springs are so absent-minded, otherwise she wouldn't have a job. There was no point in asking her questions now, not in front of so many blabbermouths. I figured I would wait and ask her after school. But when I got home, feeling all sloshy with cookies and punch, Mom was still at work. And there was another surprise. Luau was gone. Chapter 3. My cat Luau was born on the same day as me. Here's what happened. My mom was drinking tea in the kitchen. I was inside her belly. She heard a horrible howl. It must have startled both of us because she felt the kind of pain that means a baby wants out. My dad had to pack her off to the hospital quick. No time to see what was howling. But later, when I got done being born, Dad solved the mystery. In a half-open drawer in our mudroom was a stray cat, licking one sticky kitten. My mom named the kitten Luau, and now Luau was missing. I let him out this morning, Dad said. I thought he was just making his rounds, but he didn't come back for supper. It's not like Luau to miss a meal. Dad put a glass of milk and a plate of Oreos on the kitchen counter for my snack. In my belly, the punch and cookies gurgled. Would you mind having a look around for him, Dad asked me. I wondered where Luau was too, but I wasn't worried. Luau was one of those big-shouldered, muscly cats. He looks sweet curled up on the sofa, but in his heart he is a tiger. If you don't believe me, I'll bring over the mole guts that prove it. I'm supposed to take my mice to Ari's, I said. He got the newest one for Hanukkah. It's a Mongol warrior from the 13th century, Genghis Mouse. You should see his weapons. Battle axes, scimitars, they are awesome. Dad shook his head. Sometimes I think the Jensens are right, he said. What about the Jensens? I took a sip of milk. They won't let Michael and Billy have war toys, Dad said. You're kidding, I said. Not even mice? Not even. I couldn't believe it. Michael Jensen didn't own one single mouse. Didn't that mean he wasn't so cool after all? I remembered something else, too. Last summer, practically everybody got water bazookas, but not Michael and Billy. I never thought about it then, but now I understood. Gee, that's mean, I said. I wouldn't call it mean, Dad said. Different parents have different ideas about raising kids, and the Jensens do have a point. There is too much violence in the world. I don't know about too much violence. All I know is mice are amazing. I shook my head. Poor Michael. Poor Billy. Because you might have been living with no TV on planet Squelch, I will explain about super macho military mice. They are little stuffed animal guys with big pink ears. Each one is dressed in a combat uniform and carries its own tiny weapons. Some of them come with transportation too, like a horse or a tank. Kids wait in line whenever a new mouse comes out. Around Christmas and Hanukkah, grandparents get into fistfights trying to get the last one. You can look for Luau on your way to Aries, Dad said. I'm bad at finding things, I said. True, Dad said, but you might get lucky. Besides, Luau's tough. Maybe he caught his own supper. Kitty fast food, Dad said. Not fast enough if he caught it, Dad laughed. Good one. I went upstairs thinking how I liked hearing my dad laugh. He didn't used to so much. Either he was tired or he wasn't around. Till last year, he worked 24/7 at this new company that made some kind of software. He and Mom talked all the time about how they were going to be rich, richer than the Jensens, and have the biggest house on our street and take ski vacations every year. Rich sounded good to me. But with Dad working so much and Mom's weird detective hours, I spent a lot of time with babysitters and the after-school club. Then things changed. I don't know precisely what happened, but one afternoon Dad came home and told us he had quit. Now he calls himself a house husband. We don't have people to clean it for us anymore. We don't go out to dinner. We don't talk about getting rich. Sometimes having Dad around so much can be a pain, like now when he's telling me to look for my cat. Or when I tell somebody my dad does the laundry and somebody looks at me funny. But mostly, I like having him home. I took my 6 mice off the windowsill and put them in my backpack. Some kids have a zillion, the lucky pups. I thought again about Michael and Billy and how they didn't have any. I guess it was possible to be cool if you didn't own mice. I mean, if it wasn't your fault. Michael and Billy can't help it if their parents have messed up ideas. Anyway, I have only 6 mice because I have to buy them with my own money. I was hoping to get more for Christmas. The one I really wanted was Ulysses S. Mouse. The company doesn't make him anymore, so he's practically impossible to find. Before I ran downstairs, I looked out my window. Still 5 geese. By the front door, I stopped to ask Dad. I did call over there this morning, he said. Marjorie Lee hadn't even noticed. You know how she is. Are they going to replace it by tonight, I asked. She was going to try, Dad said. But where do you get a big goose on short notice? I slung the backpack over my shoulder and walked out the front door. It wasn't that cold this afternoon, and Luau has a couple of favorite sunny spots. One is the porch swing at the Dascanados. I looked, but he wasn't there. The second is down the street at the Sakuras, the bird bath in their backyard. The Sakuras are never home, so I cut beside their house and looked over the fence. Nope, nothing in the bird bath either. Where can he be, I thought. Maybe I should call Dad when I get to Aries and report. I passed the Ryans' house and was rounding the corner at Bub's when something in his window caught my eye. Bub's curtains are almost always closed. You can make out the flicker of the TV behind them. But this didn't look like a flicker. It looked like an orange tail. I braked fast. Was that Luau's tail? Why would Luau be at Bub's house? Was it like a kidnapping? I mean a catnapping? And that's where we're going to stop for today. And we'll read more tomorrow. Thanks for listening.